What is up, night owls? It's 3 a.m. in a stormy New York, and I'm Paul from the GH Spoilers YouTube channel. Welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we are dissecting the absolute, unfiltered madness of Jason and a resurrected Brando Corbin, crashing Sonny's paranoia party on Corinthos Island. Grab your strongest coffee, because this is unhinged. Let's dive in. Look, we have to start with Sonny Corinthos. Basically, the man is currently trapped in a hyper-paranoid feedback loop on Corinthos Island. And honestly, it is physically painful to watch. He is in the middle of a massive earth-shattering panic attack, completely spiraling out of control, because he is convinced that Rick Lansing is betraying him. Listen, Ethan Lovett fed him some troubling intel earlier, and now Sonny is taking extreme measures, ordering kidnappings, and losing his absolute grip on reality. But honestly, Sonny's isolation on that island is turning his brain into a literal pressure cooker. He is pacing the hardwood floor, the shadows are creeping in from the corners of the room, and his mental state is literally hanging by a frayed microscopic thread. Suddenly, the entire atmosphere of the show shifts. The sheer weight of his delusion is suffocating, and basically, you can feel the absolute dread radiating through the screen. I am low-key obsessed with the acting here. But wait, why are we like this? Why do we enjoy watching our favorite mob boss completely unravel into a puddle of baseless conspiracy theories? Suddenly, the heavy wooden doors of the Corinthos mansion swing open. Look, I was expecting one of Sonny's guards, maybe Dex, maybe even Carly, coming to yell at him about Jocelyn being missing and Jack Brennan being incapacitated. But no, suddenly stepping out of the absolute pitch black night is Jason. Jason freaking Morgan. This is a total game changer. Jason is standing there looking like he just walked out of a literal war zone, and honestly, his presence alone is a major flex. The stoic enforcer is back on Corinthos Island, and you would think this is the moment the tension breaks. You would think Sonny would collapse in relief, seeing his best friend, his brother, standing right there in the living room. Basically, Jason is the anchor Sonny desperately needs right now. I was literally screaming at my monitor, "Hug him! Sonny, hug him!" But listen, Jason is not alone. This is where my brain completely short-circuited and my soul left my body. Suddenly, another figure steps out from the shadows behind Jason. Okay, I literally cannot believe this. It's Brando Corbin. Brando Corbin is alive. I am shaking just typing this. Might delete this later. But I seriously can't stay silent about this anymore. Brando, the man we all watched, die. The man who was hooked, who succumbed to the poison, who left Sasha Gilmore a shattered, grieving widow in one of the most devastating arcs of the decade. Basically, we buried him. We mourned him. We bought the black clothes and cried real tears. And now suddenly, he is standing in Sonny Corinthos' living room, breathing, talking, and looking like he has been through absolute unfiltered hell. Please tell me, I'm not the only one losing my mind over this. This is absolute narrative betrayal. But at the exact same time, it is transcendent hype. Honestly, I need to pause for a second because my mind is literally breaking trying to process the sheer audacity of this. Brando Corbin, the mechanic, the cousin, the man who was taken from us in one of the most tragic, gut-wrenching storylines this show has ever produced. Look, I remember Sasha sobbing over his body. I remember the sheer devastation that rippled through Port Charles. And basically, the writers are just waving a magic wand and saying, "Nope, he's back." Honestly, I am furious. But I am also screaming with joy, because I low-key obsessed over Brando and his entire dynamic with the Corinthos family. But wait, how is this even physically possible? The poison was in his system, the hook was lethal. Suddenly, we are supposed to believe he survived. Basically, my trust issues with the show have reached absolute terminal velocity. Listen, Brando starts explaining, and the lore-shattering bombs just keep dropping one after another. Basically, he reveals that he didn't die in that hospital bed. The WSB, yes, the World Security Bureau, because of course it's the WSB, intervened. They somehow saved his life, faked his death, and then, in the most diabolical, unhinged move ever, they threw him into a top-secret, off-the-books black site prison. Look, the WSB has always been shady. We know Jack Brennan has been running his own rogue operations. We know John Cates was a complete menace. But secretly kidnapping a civilian and locking him in a dungeon, that is a total game changer. Honestly, Brando's been rotting in a WSB cell this entire time, completely cut off from the world, eating stale bread and doing push-ups in the dark, while Sasha was out here losing her mind with grief. And suddenly, the story gets even crazier. Listen to this. Jason ended up in that exact same WSB prison. Look, we all know Jason has been off the grid doing mercenary work, covering for Rocco Falconeri's shooting of Ross Cullum, basically taking the fall for everyone, because that is what Jason does. But somehow his path crossed with Brando's in this subterranean hellhole. Basically, Jason and Brando teamed up. They looked at each other in this nightmare facility and said, "We are getting out of here." Honestly, the idea of Jason and Brando Corbin executing a high-stakes tactical prison break against elite WSB agents is a major flex. I would pay literal money to see an entire spin-off series, just focusing on that escape. Suddenly, they are fighting their way through heavily armed guards, stealing a vehicle, dodging spotlights, and making their desperate way back to Port Charles. It is absolute cinema. Wait, why are we like this? Why does the WSB always have secret prisons just lying around? First, they have that facility where they kept Drew Kane. Then they have whatever clinic Anna Devane is visiting in France. And now there's a black site for Brando. Honestly, is there a zoning board for secret government dungeons? Maybe Jack Brennan approved the permits before Nina Reeves grabbed the wrong syringe and accidentally stabbed him on Willow's rug. Oh my god, the syringe. Nina literally sedated a federal agent, while Drew Kane wiggled his finger in the next room. Whoa, I've really gone off chasing butterflies into another dimension. Bringing the signal back, let's stick to the script. We are talking about Sonny, Jason, and Brando. Focus, Paul, focus. Look, after hearing this incredible harrowing tale of survival and brotherhood, you would expect Sonny to break down in tears. You would expect him to embrace his family, to fall to his knees, and thank whatever higher power he believes in. But no. Suddenly, Sonny Corinthos completely snaps. Instead of joy, instead of relief, Sonny's paranoia redlines and breaks the scale. He doesn't step forward, he steps back. His eyes go completely dead, scanning the room like a trapped animal. Basically, Sonny's mind, which has already been poisoned by his suspicions about Rick Lansing and Ethan's intel, completely rejects reality. He looks at Jason, he looks at Brando, and honestly, he decides this is all a massive, elaborate trap designed to take him down. Listen, the energy in that room hits absolute terminal velocity. Sonny actually reaches for his gun. Okay, I literally cannot believe this. He pulls a gun on them. He's aiming a lethal weapon at Jason, the man who has taken actual bullets for him, the man who has sacrificed his entire life for the Corinthos cartel. Suddenly, Sonny starts screaming that Brando isn't real. He thinks Brando is a WSB clone, or a sleeper agent programmed to assassinate him. Honestly, Sonny is convinced that the WSB, angry over whatever happened with John Cates, Ross Cullum, and Jack Brennan, has orchestrated this entire grand illusion just to infiltrate Corinthos Island. Basically, Sonny is looking at a literal miracle and calling it a murder plot. Look, it is a Mexican standoff in the Corinthos living room, and my heart is beating so fast I might need medical attention. Jason is standing there, hands raised just slightly, using that low, calm, iconic enforcer voice, trying to talk Sonny off the ledge. "Sonny, it's me. It's Brando. Put the gun down. We just broke out of a black site." But honestly, Sonny isn't hearing a single word of it. His brain is completely fried by his own bipolar disorder and the sheer stress of the last few months. Brando is pleading, his voice cracking with emotion. "Uncle Sonny, please, it's me. I survived. I fought my way back to you," and Sonny is just shaking his head, sweat pouring down his face. The gun trembling in his hand, completely trapped in his own psychological fallout. Basically, the absolute tragedy here is that Brando fought his way out of a literal dungeon just to be held at gunpoint by his own blood. Honestly, I hate Sonny right now. I literally despise him for doing this to Brando and Jason. But wait, actually no, I feel so bad for him. Look, his medication has been tampered with before. He's been betrayed by everyone he trusts. He just found out his empire is crumbling, and he thinks Rick is plotting against him with Ava. Basically, Sonny's entire world is collapsing into a black hole of betrayal. So, of course, he doesn't trust this. If a dead guy walks into my house at 3 a.m. while I am having a mental breakdown, I'm grabbing a weapon too, honestly. I am contradicting myself because I am overflowing with emotion, and I am just organizing my thoughts in real time as I write this rant. But seriously, Sonny needs to wake up and realize the WSB isn't sending his dead cousin to kill him. Listen, this is the kind of narrative betrayal that keeps me awake at night staring at the ceiling. We have Jason, a literal legend, carrying this entire journey on his shoulders, risking everything to bring Brando home. And we have Sonny, single-handedly testing my sanity by pointing a gun at them. Basically, this is the ultimate test of loyalty. If Sonny pulls that trigger, there is no coming back. None. The digital hive mind will absolutely riot. I will personally lead the riot. We have been through too much. We survived the Nixon Falls amnesia storyline. We survived the mob wars. We survived Jason being presumed dead a dozen times over. We absolutely cannot and will not survive. Sonny shooting a resurrected Brando Corbin in his own living room. Look, the sheer cinematic tension of this moment is a major flex by the directors. But my nerves are completely shot. Jason is calculating the angles, figuring out how to disarm his best friend without hurting him. Brando is staring down the barrel of a gun held by the man he respected most in the world. And Sonny is lost in the sauce, drowning in a sea of his own making. Basically, the WSB didn't even need to send an assassin to take out Sonny Corinthos. They just needed to send him a ghost and let his own paranoia do the rest. Honestly, the psychological warfare here is brilliant, but it is destroying my soul. I am pacing my own room just like Sonny is pacing his. Suddenly, you have to wonder what happens next. If Jason manages to talk him down, how do they integrate Brando back into Port Charles? How does Sasha react when she finds out her husband has been rotting in a WSB cell? How does the WSB react when they realize two of their the dangerous prisoners just waltzed onto Corinthos Island? Honestly, the blast radius of this reveal is going to shatter the entire canvas. Basically, every single storyline is going to be hijacked by this. But right now, none of that matters. Because we are stuck in this agonizing, breathless moment where a single twitch of Sonny's finger could end it all. Look, I am exhausted. My brain is completely fried. I am spiraling through this chaotic feedback loop of transcendent hype and absolute narrative betrayal. And honestly, I don't know how this is going to end. Will Jason disarm Sonny? Will Brando have to fight his way out of Corinthos Island? Just hours after escaping a WSB black site. Basically, this is the most unhinged, high-octane drama General Hospital has delivered in years. And I am low-key obsessed with every single terrifying second of it. I need to upload this rant right now before I collapse onto my keyboard. Please sound off in the comments. Validate my psychic damage. Tell me you are screaming just as loud as I am. Until next time, keep your doors locked, trust no one, and remember that apparently dead people and WSB agents are just wandering around Port Charles waiting to give us all heart attacks